Again, this topic, so much feedback, and thank you for everyone who's been weighing in on this. 22422 being the SMS line. The hashtag is Daybreak. Let's briefly look at some of them. Allow each of our panelists, including Carol Modama, to give us their final thoughts, and then read some more feedback. So let's start. Here's what you're saying on Twitter.
Thank God Jugush says the proposal for retirement at 50 simply can't work. The government has no money for pensioners, even at the current 60. To cut the wage bill, retrench civil servants and introduce performance contracting.
Okay. I hope Agnes is taking that feedback. Heriberitas. In Kenya, it's all about who do you know that knows who where. Early retirement is not a solution either way, since those that know people are the ones who will benefit after all in terms of the jobs that we created. Youth are needed after every 5 years.
For elections, that is. All right. Ali Daib says Wajir, Kenyan...
In Wajir, I think.
In Wajir, that is. Kenyan old senior servants never retire. There are no job opportunities always for them. And on the contrary, our youth languish in stress of unemployment. What a pity.
Okay, thank you for that. Heriberitas again says the challenge we have is having the government hire youths on 1 to 2 year contract basis when need arises. But when jobs are available in the term, then the term experience arises. Early retirement will never solve the rate of youth unemployment.
Oh, wow. Let's get into your SMSs now on 22422. Just leave your name and where you're texting us from, and we'll read some of them as soon as we can. Comment from Elred says, lowering of retirement age is an interesting one and has attracted lots of emotional debate across all demographics. Bulging youth unemployment is given as a key point of reference. But government is not an unemployment bureau. It is a serious institution geared towards excellent service delivery. With the proposal, this will be highly compromised. Let us expand the economy as a solution. Okay,
let's take a few more. David says planned individual retirement should be encouraged if the majority of Kenyans can face the challenge of self-employment, reducing consumerism tendencies and encouraging savings at an early stage of employment or earnings. Savings for future should be part of the CBC in schools, and that's what somebody has actually said here.
Yeah, David, the same David actually, the namesake. Thanks, panelists on retirement discussion. My concern is about the health insurance accumulation that stops immediately one retires. One retires because the body has lost its strength to carry out normal operations effectively, thus weak. Being weak, the body is subjected to pains and sicknesses now and then. Why doesn't the government take up the burden of the health fund accumulation by the worker or continue receiving and enjoying the health benefits after retirement?
All right.
And that's a very interesting conversation, because after retirement is when you need the health benefits. That's when you're at your weakest point, but that's where it stops.
How many insurers will carry on with you after into your 70s?
You're a high-risk individual. That's what they say.
I don't know how we're going to wrap up this discussion. We're definitely going to have to do this again. But let's get the final thoughts of each of our panelists. And Carol, I'll start with you. You've heard everything that each of the panelists have had to say. You've had the questions as well. How would you like to wrap up this discussion?
My views are that we need to be deliberate about retirement planning. As the government and policy matters look to expand employment, because again, you cannot save of what you do not generate as income. So there is need for the stimulation in the economy so that, businesses are started, and once somebody gets an income, we must develop the habit of saving. The idea of bringing the financial education into primary school and high school and university is something that we must do. And we, as a financial advisor, we are going out every other day to create awareness and to do financial education. I think this is very, very important, so that people learn how to do budgets, to stick to their budgets, and set aside funds for retirement. It is very important.
Are you ready for retirement?
I am on course for my retirement. Yes.
There's a difference between saving and investment. Which one do you go for? Because most of the young people are saying investments are very risky. So should they just save and let their money stay there? What do you advise?
My advice is get into, you see, investment does not happen in a vacuum, right? Savings, investments come from a place of saving. So you have to first build a fund so that you can be able to deploy it into an investment. So saving is where we start, and then investment follows. Of course, there are solutions that are there within the market that help you to save as you earn some kind of interest, and that is what we should discuss. Which options are there so that you can be able to put something aside that is earning you interest as you go along.
Thanks, Carol. Let's bring in Agnes on this. What are your final words?
Trevor, I don't think we should relent on any effort that can create even as little as 10,000 jobs for the youth.
Okay.
I'm disheartened that most of the concerns are about the older generation not having money to sustain their lives after they retire, or not having occupations to keep themselves busy. I would like more concerns around the youth that are unemployed right now, who are hopeless, who are on CRB, who are paying help, who have been told they have done obsolete degrees. So conversation should be around that. And I think it is not a new issue to the government. When you look at the CAPS report that was done, one of the recommendations that were proposed was that we need a succession plan. And I was really shocked that David thinks that a 25-year-old cannot come and replace a 50-year-old and no, we have failed our youth thinking that we are incompetent. And we need, if you look at the CAPS recommendations, if you have a succession plan, it will enable a scouting of talent at the formative stages, at whatever level, that will allow when you retire, when you know Trevor is retiring in the next 5 years, we will know that now we need Wahiga, we need to start coaching Wahiga to come and fill up that space. Cost should not be an issue. I'm saying even right now, if we cannot sustain the pension schemes, or we cannot sustain the pension payouts, we should stop and transform all the other affirmative funds that are going to the youth. I don't think we should have affirmative solutions for a majority of the population. The Uwezo Fund should be transformed to be a fund for the aged. Youth Fund should be transferred to be aged fund. They can maybe start borrowing as youth are borrowing. We cannot keep on telling youth that you should be self-employed, you should look for blue-collar jobs, you should do technical jobs, but not requiring their government to take care of them. The youth of this country are a responsibility of the national government, and that's where we are saying that it is the government that should create these vacancies. And the other thing that maybe, when we're talking about costs,
briefly, please.
we should maybe start questioning where we are right now. How much have you accumulated? What will be our rollout cost to retire people? Where are we with NSSF? Where are we with Public Service Pension Scheme? Where are we with RBA, because it's managing these funds? Because most of the money, and the biggest scandal is, we have money that was never channeled into pension. We have money that had been contributed but is not there. And the other regime in 2009, they pushed retirement because they didn't have money to give people, yet people are contributing. Even so, for us to make it the transition better, we should incentivize retirement, we should encourage saving, we should make sure that whatever people are retiring to is enough money to sustain them. But still, even 10,000 jobs, don't dismiss 200,000 jobs, even 10,000 is enough to tilt the youth unemployment.
All right.
Well, I think she has acquitted herself very well. But I do not really desire to be given the funds from the youth. Because you see, at my age, you become a risky borrower. And no person is going to lend you money because they know the longest you may live is about 20 years. And therefore, return on their investment may be lost. But the main problem is a squarely lack of leadership at the level of the government. The government has no business saying they want to give jobs. What they need to do is to give infrastructure so that those who in the private sector are able to invest and have a certain environment that investment is going to return some good money and therefore employ people. The second issue is also for us to train and prepare people for retirement. Many people, as they go towards retirement and they get that last letter, they get so scared that they suffer from a number of diseases, including issues of diabetes, blood pressure, because they know now this is like the end of life. The other important thing is that what is the orientation of many youth in Kenya? You find many of them are in betting, and that is something that is dangerous. Can we change the culture of Kenyans to get more responsible, to realize that you don't have to be employed? The only employment I've gotten is only a 2-year employment as a teacher. The rest of my life, I've been hacking my own life, fighting with my time to make sure that I become a member of parliament. And the rest of it, for the last 15 years, I've been surviving because of the investments that I undertook when I was young. It is important that we create a stable economy. That is the only way we can safeguard the lives of the youth and the old in Kenya.
Very interesting thoughts. Thank you for that.
I think my sister Agnes is getting too emotive, that she doesn't understand that my proposal and hers are not mutually exclusive. And that what I am trying to state here is that their proposition only solves a tiny bit of the bigger problem.
Let's start with that.
And that I am not dismissive of them. I have been, I bet, the biggest proponent for youth inclusion at every level. I have the one who has enlisted here. How Mboya was a minister in this country at 35, and Musila was a PC in this country at 29. I'm the one who has tried to hold the president to task and say, Mr. President, whenever you appoint commissioners to any commission, there are young people who are equal. I am also alive to the fact, however, that the qualifications, the young people with those levels of qualifications are not as many. And so, Agnes, just appreciate that I am saying 200,000 is good, but that it is underwhelming from Jaguar as a young person. I would expect more from him in terms of impacting on policies that would create jobs. But that said, this is it. One, you need to understand that when our young and energetic people are poor, when the poor have nothing to eat, they will eat the rich. We have to resolve the crisis of unemployment in this country, because when we resolve the crisis and ensure that people have income, then we have a basis of talking about savings for retirement. For as long as that is not the case, we will be lost. Now, this is what I propose. I propose, Carol, and go and tell our friend as well as you work on this, that there needs to be a mechanism to ensure that policies created are effected. If you have created policies, the president on the other day addressing the SMEs summit, a convention, said, I'm even shocked, I can't read the speech here. He recognizes that a lot of our SMEs, which are young companies, are struggling. They do businesses, they are not paid in time. How about making policies that impact even on the private sector, so that when you talk about banks giving loans to our young people, one, they can be readily availed to the extent that are available, and that when they verify the organizations that they are dealing with are, organizations that are credible, then even the taxation and the percentage of interest is reduced. I expect such interventions from them. When you talk... Finally. There is so much to say, but finally, the proposal by Sandeep for government to match the investment in saving towards retirement by the young people in the informal sector is brilliant. A good place to start, the 22 billion we save from Aror Kimorer. Let the president say, this 22 billion, I have listened. I think young people, you need to save for your futures. The amount that would have been looted in Kimorer, I have decided to allocate it. We will match an investment. You put in 500, we will put in 500, because that's what they do in civil service.
Thank you. I don't know how politics got into this. Finally,
I think, so enough has been said about Agnes. So let me not comment on that further, right? I mean, from where I sit, as a country and from a policy perspective, we need to say, let us encourage, incentivize, and if that does not work, let us compel savings by Kenyans, because we are the victims of our own short-term and myopic behavior. Right? Now, I believe that will achieve a number of important outcomes. The first one is it will help to improve the financial well-being of Kenyans, not just for their retirement, but for the next few years of their lives as well. Right? If we can accompany these with good insurance solutions that can help to take care of them, from life's crisis, because otherwise what happens is they raid those savings each time they have a crisis, right? But the second effect, which I believe is a byproduct, is that it will help to create that pool of saving that we need for investment in this country, right? And the pension sector, and as has got 1.2 trillion shillings. If some of the proposals that we've talked about are implemented, that could double in 5 years, right? I really believe that we could address a lot of our challenges, including youth unemployment, right? I really feel that things like boosting the manufacturing sector where jobs can be created, implementing solutions to create affordable housing, right? Whether it's the housing fund or some other initiative, having pension funds, being able to invest in our country's infrastructure through public-private partnerships, right? Now, just a couple of other points of that, just from what Caroline was saying, like people are saving, but you would want that if you save for a period of 30 years, more than 75% of the pot of money at the end should actually be your investment income, right? So I think if you save a shilling and you can get 3 more at the end of 30 years, right? There's a very important need to educate Kenyans on the need to save and to prepare for the future, because we are not doing it. And Kenyans are being forced to retire from life, not work. Right? And we really need to address this problem.
Encourage, incentivize, or compel. The third one will most likely
don't retire from life.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. I want to thank our panelists here. Carol Mudama for joining us from our other studio. She's a retirement coach. Asante sana for making time this morning. And also Agnes Ibara, women and youth advocate and also a politician. Asante sana. We'll see how the bill goes. Well, thank you for making time as well. Kipruto Rap Kirwa, former cabinet minister. Asante sana for making time. David Osiany, public policy expert. Asante sana. And also we have Sandeep Raichura, CEO Zamara Actuaries, Administrators and Consultants. You're also a qualified actuary. Thank you so much for making time this morning. That's where we leave this discussion, but we still had a lot of feedback. Should we run through them as fast as we can? Just 5 of them, the SMSs, and 22422 is the SMS line you're using, and Trevor Umbija says NTV Kenya. At Wega Maura, hashtag is Daybreak. Let's bring them up and go through them as fast as we can, just to squeeze them in because we're running out of time here. SMS, you don't leave a name or a place you're texting from. You say, consider at what age the civil servants were employed. I'm employed at 35 and you want me to retire at 50 years.
Okay. Oh, wow. Somebody else here. Franklin Momanyi, the best option is a robust civic education to members of all ages on the importance of saving for retirement as opposed to training members approaching the age of retirement. The issue of lowering the retirement age does not sort out the issue of unemployment in the country. Let us push for the implementation of 30% of all government business to youths and vulnerable groups. Implementation.
All right.
Of policies.
Eulalia Namai, a retiree. All right. She says retiring civil servants at age 50 will harm our country. The skills and knowledge acquired at work is not applied. The ministries will have to start all over in manpower development. The civil service will die. So let us be honest and create jobs by removing corrupt practices. Agnes vehemently disagrees.
Nick Wafula from Kitale, retired teachers numbering 52,000 filed a case in 2006, which was heard and determined in 2008 in favor of retirees. What can these old ailing men and women do to access their court award amounting to 42.3 billion? Wow.
Wow.
Nick, text us more details. That's probably a story we'll need to follow up.
Follow up on that. Diritu from Nakuru says, I'm a civil servant earning a gross of 31,500 per month. How much do you think I can save out of my salary to have a decent retirement after the taxman invades my pay slip? This is forcing people to dream at 1 p.m.
Dream at 1 p.m. It's funny, but it's not funny. It's a serious concern. No name, but in Kenya, there seems to be a collision between the youth and the aging. I think he's capped our discussion there. Yeah. The latter seems to take the youth as naive, not responsible enough, while the former think the aging as selfish and over-possessive. My goodness. But the main thing should... Anonymous, oh, you're thinking that. But the main thing should be patriotism of all people, creation of incentives for gainful earnings for all ages, curb corruption, and have a progressive economy.
That's it. Oh, wow.
Do you still agree?
Okay, let's take a... No, we are done with the show. No more. We have one more SMS.
All right. Bugwa Charles says, although retirement planning is a critical culture for continuity, our organizations lack dynamic strategies. As Kenya achieves the milestones of universal healthcare, many retirees will live longer. Old age challenges, including a variety of diseases, loneliness, and inability to adapt, will be a complex scenario. Hence, the need for approaches such as re-employment of the veterans to mentor incoming Generation Z and Generation Y. Or should I say Generation Z? Depends on the school you went to.
All right, let's go through 3 tweets and then we wrap up. We need to hand over. Chef Ali kicking off soon. J. Frederick G. on Twitter says, if you are someone who has been paying fees by using loans to retire early, you'll just be making their life harder.
Abdul Malim says Kenyan parents or generally the society do not teach their kids how to handle businesses and money matters, but they will discourage the kids not to handle money, which denies the kids the chance to learn about money and how businesses are run.
And finally, from Peter Mbuthia, most 50-year-olds have many more responsibilities. They have a better understanding of their offices and hence would be, in my opinion, more productive than the many broke youth. So that bill is not a solution. So what's the solution? In caps, entrepreneurship.
But the 30% for the youth is not even going to the youth.
All right.
Okay.
So much to say, no time to say it. We take a break. Chef,
breakfast tips.
Let's say breakfast tips.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll find out who the chef is on the other side of the break.
It's Chef
Chef Ali.
Mandri is back with us.
Great.
Yeah.
We'll be back with that.